Students, in the previous videos, we saw that how Abu Khan brought Chandni and how Chandni loved her freedom so much that she escaped Abu Khan's hut through the small window. Now, let us read the rest of the story. Chandni went back to the hills. She knew the wolf was somewhere there. She was ready to put up a good fight. Chandni reached the hills. It seemed to her that the old hills were standing in a row to welcome her. She felt like a child meeting her parents after years of separation. Wherever she went, the tall grass rose to embrace her. The flowers bloomed to amuse her, and the wind sang an endless song of welcome. How different all this was from her past in the prison house of Abu Khan's compound. It was the happiest day in Chandni's life. That day, she played for hours on the grassy slopes of the hills. She met a herd of wild goats who asked her to join their group. But Chandni politely refused. She wanted to enjoy her new freedom all by herself. The sun disappeared behind the hills, and soon darkness eloped the grass, the flowers, and the trees. The wind stopped blowing, and there was stillness all around, except for a strange sound which was coming from the bushes. The sound was like a grunt. What was it? It wasn't Abu Khan's voice calling her back to the compound, nor was it the voice of another goat. Then Chandni thought of the dangerous wolf who lived in the hills. She felt scared. Should she go back to the safety of Abu Khan's hut? No, she said to herself. Death in an open field is far better than life in a small hut. Death in an open field is far better than life in a small hut. The wolf had come out of the bushes and was staring greedily at Chandni. His eyes were shining like burning coals in the darkness. He seemed in no hurry. He knew the new goat was his. The wolf and the goat sized up each other. The wolf was big and ferocious, whereas the goat, though healthy, was small. But small is not weak. Chandni stood firm on her legs, head slightly bent and horns jutting out. She was a picture of courage. She looked like a brave soldier, ready to fight a treacherous enemy. I must put up a good fight, Chandni thought. Success or failure is a matter of luck or chance. The fight began. It went on through the night. The moon, which had been watching the fight, began to grow pale and suddenly hid behind the clouds. The stars also began to disappear one by one. A faint light appeared in the east, and a morning call for prayer came from a distant mosque. The first rays of the sun saw Chandni lying on the ground. She was completely soaked in blood. The wolf, tired and sleepy, was getting ready to devour her. An assembly of birds perched on top of the tree nearby was debating the result of the fight. Who is the winner? One of them asked. The wolf, of course, most of them said. A wise old bird declared with confidence, Chandni is the winner. So students, this story was adapted from Zakir Hussein's novel. Now students, in this last section, we saw that how Chandni went to the hills and how she loved being there. How the grasses, the flowers and the wind welcomed her. How she enjoyed her new life and did not become a part of the wild goats herd. But when the sun disappeared, that is, when the night began, the wolf came in to fight with her, to devour her, to eat her. And Chandni put on a great fight. She said, "Death in an open field is far better than life in a small hut," that she would gladly die with her freedom in the hills rather than being a prisoner in that small hut. And the wolf and Chandni fought for the whole night. Suddenly, when the moon went away and the sun began to arise, we could see that Chandni was lying on the floor, on the ground, completely soaked in blood. And although the wolf was tired and sleepy, he was completely ready to devour her, to eat her. And there was this small assembly of birds, a small group of birds who came there to see the fights. They were sitting on top of a tree branch and they were debating about the results of the fight. "Who is the winner?" one of them asked. Most of the birds said the wolf was the winner, of course, but an old wise bird declared that Chandni is the winner. Chandni, although she lost fight with the wolf, she was the winner because she fought with bravery and courage and took her freedom all for herself. Rather than dying in that small hut, she died putting up a brave front in front of the wolf, enjoying her freedom.